Hello and welcome everyone to Main Street Matters webinar. I'm Patrick Kaiser. I'm the Executive Director of Heart on Main Street. Heart on Main Street is a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping independent retailers grow their businesses and thrive within their local communities. This is a monthly webinar series that we have intended for retailers and retail communities in order to connect you to experts in their field and learn from their valuable wealth of knowledge. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you are an old friend, well, welcome back. All of our previous webinars and registration for our upcoming webinars can be found through our website, heartonmainstreet.org. Today, my guest is Daniel Tadros, the founder of 360 Retail Management. Retail management helps retailers transform traditional operations into streamlined, data-driven processes. So very perfect to have on today as we're talking about future retail. Daniel, thank you so much for being on.
Appreciate you guys having me as well. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know in our conversations, you're always talking about how we're taking things that kind of have been almost exclusively for large businesses and bringing them to the small independent retailer and helping them transform their business. So I'm really, really excited about today's topic. So let's dive in for today. We titled this Future Retail or Future of Retail, but really in some ways, kind of the future is now. There are so many things that have changed over the last even 5 years that are impacting how we do retail, what we're looking at, technologies, the capabilities that are available, all really kind of through AI. And so many things have been changing, really how products are discovered, how people are shopping. But there's also a implication of AI helping create more AI and more technology. So we want to look at how things are already changing right now and what you could do to admit more things into your business and have more capabilities, but also what does that 3 to 5 year look like, 3 to 10 year look like in how retail is going to change. And for that, I almost feel like the writer of the Jetsons trying to predict out what 2062 looks like. So many things are going to be changing over the next 10 years. So I want to start there. Daniel, let's talk a little bit about kind of what is going on right now and what has been happening. What are trends over the last 5 years or so, or what you see right now, the 3 biggest things that are changing how retail is done?
I think I wouldn't say it's 3 biggest things. It's sort of like so many things that are changing in any single moment. But I would say that if I'm going to summarize it, it's that the digital presence and the digital data required to succeed has historically become more important over time. And I'm talking things like metadata, your item data, your inventory data, some of that stuff that bigger corporations and like think Macy's, Amazon, those kind of companies have been able to automate. I would say that information is going to become very important to small retailers as well in the future, and we'll explain why and how shopping is changing over the next few years and what we're seeing with our clients today. The second thing I'd say is that, and it's kind of good news, is that some of the tools and capabilities that some large retailers have had, they're about to get a lot cheaper and a lot easier to implement for the everyday Main Street retailer. And that's good news, in my opinion. It does take a little bit of work to learn some of this stuff, but it's pretty powerful to be able to kind of match a whole entire corporate back office that Macy's or Best Buy would have with much smaller staff. The third thing I would say is that consumers are going to have a lot more visibility into not just what you have locally, but even what your competitors locally are selling things for, and being able to find prices and being transparent around, who has the best offerings. That's going to become even easier and faster for customers. And so the retailers that are able to provide like a differentiated and a better offering, frankly, are going to really succeed in the future. And some of these tools are going to really help them stand out. So I think if I'm going to summarize the big picture stuff, if you were to make, hey, what's an elevator pitch? That's what I would ask you to take away from this.
Yeah, absolutely. There are so many different changes going on, and that you will be able to, and already do in some ways, have technologies that have been limited to big companies or people with a full staff. That coming down to the independent retail level, being able to know your business a whole lot better. How have consumers changed? I know there's looking through ChatGPT and Gemini. How has that changed how consumers are going to interact with retailers?
Yeah, I think I touched on it a little bit already in terms of like pricing transparency. That's one of the key things but I think in terms of general, just how are they shopping nowadays, right? I mean, it used to be that retailers, or excuse me, shoppers would kind of go online, and they'd search for something on Google search and you would see at the top like all the ads, right? And the funnel is, ad to website to add to cart to sale. That's basically the basic funnel, right? And we're seeing there's going to become a diversification of that to where shoppers will now actually search for not just items, but for recommendations for a specific event or for a specific outfit. And being able to have recommendations that are tailored just to that one search that also may incorporate multiple purchases from different retailers at once. So
Wow.
I'm
Okay.
looking for an outfit that, will match. Let's say I'm a bridesmaid, right? I need to match the bride's colors, but I can't have it be exactly like this. And I want to have these ruffles, and I have a bottom and a top. Being able to provide that kind of vague level detail, having recommendations made for you, and then being able to purchase those items directly from an LLM from different retailers in one transaction. The top and the bottom, two different retailers, one swipe, if that makes sense.
Wow. So LLM, just to kind of clarify, that's a large language model, which
That's
are
correct.
our Chat GPTs, Geminis, Claude, things like that, correct?
That is exactly right. Not to be confused with like other agentic AI features, but for lack of a better way of putting it, think of a guy person in ChatGPT typing, "Hey, I want to find a new sweater for my son," something like that.
Yeah. So how do retailers, so it can be recommended through there, right? So before kind of in previous 5 years ago world, you'd Google something and you'd get a link to different retail stores around. But now it's really a question, it's pulling together information. How do our retailers make sure that they are the ones that are pulled when that happens?
Yeah, so I think that this is where you're going to start to see that it's not just about how much money you spend, it's actually about how organized you are and how good the quality of information, what we would call the fidelity of your data, basically like a trust level score, right?
Okay.
So in the past, you could kind of hack your way to the top of Google by basically paying a lot of money for Google Ads, or you could hack your way to being found a lot on Meta or social media or TikTok by paying a lot of money to be at the top of their searches or the top of whatever they're scrolling through and the videos they're watching. In this case, it's less about that, and again, more about actually being able to provide the information that these LLMs are searching for. So if they're looking for a specific type of blouse or a specific type of PJ pants or whatever it may be, it could be, a certain electronic item, pair of shoes, right? To be able to meet the need of that information is what you have to have on your website in the metadata of that item within your POS, right? So it's not just about how much money you can spend, but do you actually have enough information for you to be recommended for that question that somebody is searching for? Does that make sense?
Yeah, so all of that thing, I know oftentimes as we're developing our website to have images there, but maybe not paying attention to that metadata. Now that is becoming increasingly important, the metadata behind and not just getting the image on the site. Is that correct?
I think it's fair to say, and I think that even an example I would hit even closer to home is let's just go back to the like not I don't want to call it the 5 year ago model because that model's never going to go away. But somebody's on Google Shopping and they're going to go on the left hand side. You can see all those categories like is it a shirt, is it a pair of pants, what's the color, what's the price, what's the care, what's the materials, is it machine washable, all that kind of stuff, right? And being able to filter for that and get to the item they want to find, right? That stuff on steroids, if you will,
Okay.
right, is what is going to be necessary to really succeed in the next generation. But it doesn't mean that the key search terms that we are optimizing for now go away. It's sort of like that becomes the baseline, and there are then things you can do on top of that to differentiate your store and your offerings to then be found again with potentially a significantly higher return on your investment. You're not really spending money to do this. You're just kind of changing how you're listing things on your website, if that makes sense.
Right, right. And kind of that background data. I know often that is difficult to pull, and there are some kind of improvements in retail from that capacity. Can you talk about some of those things that the technologies, the capabilities that are out there that do help pull that data, that metadata, so that they could import it into their website a lot easier?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I'm gonna share a slide if that's
Yeah,
okay, Patrick. I
please.
have them kind of listed out. But I do want to quick disclosure. We don't like, there are many tools that you guys can use to do this. Like even for accounting, you can use QuickBooks, you can use Wave. There's plenty of accounting tools out there, right? This is not like an endorsement of those tools that I'm going to recommend. These are just the ones that we have found that work for our clients. We're pretty good with them. So I'll go ahead and show you some of those. But again, this is not like you have to use these. There are other options out there. Just want to be clear about that.
Yeah, showing examples of things that you could do. Yeah.
Yep. And the other thing I want to call out is that we have a lot of sensitivity to making sure that we're cost effective. So none of the tools we're going to talk about today are like $20,000 a month. These are all like 10, 20, maybe $100 a month, something like that. They're affordable is the main point.
Yeah. And those are the things that, that technology is coming down to the independent retailer, things that, were gate kept by larger corporate because they were $20,000 before.
Exactly. And they have this, a roster of staff to kind of get some of this stuff done. As we kind of see that some of those tasks can become automated, can be done very cost effectively, even at a small scale, I do think it's going to become very powerful for retailers to take advantage of this kind of stuff. So here are some of the places that I'm going to call it right now. This is, again, by no way the exhaustive list. This is by no way the list of tools that you have to use, but these are places that we are finding basically right now that our clients are using on a day-to-day basis to increase sales, decrease cost, or to spend less time doing manual work, right? So the first one is spending less time basically doing this, typing into Shopify or their POS or their website to create the items, right? Shopify has released a bunch of native tools to help you do that. The amount of what's called EDI and APIs that vendors are providing now, EDI, API, all that's being able to connect to your vendors directly and query the item information from them. We do have some internal tools that we've developed that I'll show you guys later as well on how we are able to basically turn an invoice into a website ready item, even if you have limited information on that invoice. And then of course, there are the famous tools you guys have heard of like ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and a few others as well. The second place that we have had customers have a lot of success with AI, particularly I would say with sales as well as with being able to increase their turnover of excess stock and kind of lowering the margin loss and liquidation, is price matching. I'll show you some examples of that as well, but we are using AI now to query prices in real time of goods being sold by our clients, and then comparing that to local competitors, Amazon, the vendor or manufacturer themselves, and getting live notifications of when a good being sold has had a price drop from a competitor or a price increase from a competitor or a MAP violation from a competitor. And then being able to automate, if you would like, based on rules, matching somebody else's price or dropping it down to a specific margin or increasing the price. Again, it's not that difficult to do it manually when you're working with 1 to 10 items, but when you have dozens of competitors, thousands of SKUs, it's impossible to do this manually, right? So being able to do this and layering AI pricing on top of already successful Google or Facebook or TikTok ad spend is very powerful in our opinion, and we've seen results from that. The next thing is AI customer support agents. So I don't have to tell this to any retailer, but you're going to get how many requests for, hey, what's the status of my order? Hey, how do I return this? I've got a question about an item, right? Being able to kind of take your tone of voice and turn that into automated responses that can be relayed to different formats of the same question, basically. How many different ways can somebody ask, what's the status of my order, right? Being able to kind of answer those questions, tie that into your POS, tie that into your shipping if you have a UPS account, that kind of stuff saves a lot of time. And if you have item data, like as I mentioned to you around like being able to meet the needs of these LLMs, you can have your chatbot actually answer questions about an item. And we have seen that customers will purchase items if that chatbot answers questions succinctly and correctly. So that will actually be a sales converter as well. I'll quickly go through the rest of these, but Claude Skills and Claude Code, we can come up with custom automations, custom apps to say, hey, I want to have this into 45 different formats. I can upload it to my accounting place. I can upload it to my POS. I can send it to my tax guy, right? That kind of stuff, as well as if you need like editing of images. So let's say you have a picture of a shirt, you don't like it, you want to put it on a model that is a little bit younger, you want to put it on a model that is a little bit taller, you want to change the background color, being able to change all that with AI without having like Photoshop skills, has become very easy as well. So that's where I would say we're seeing a lot of success in today with AI, if that makes it. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, there's so many different fields there, and I think the price matching is such an important one. I think as retailers always kind of looking at, is this at the right price? I obviously have to make my margin on it, and just going Keystone, there's maybe not enough margin there. So always looking at price, but then to know of like what your competitors are doing around you with that exact same price, or whoever you deem to be your competitor, that is such a huge capability for retailers to be able to take in and integrate into their sales model.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's been, frankly, a driver of sales as well. You would think that price matching would actually, hit your margins really hard. And, in cases it does, but the truth is that it does also allow for faster turnover, right? So you're thinking about how do I not just sell for the right price, but how do I, go through the inventory turns? Faster inventory turns is always better. And how do I make sure that I'm allocating my spend on Google and Meta and TikTok correctly, right? You really don't want to spend a lot of money on an item that everybody else is selling for 50% of your cost or
Yeah.
your price, right? And it's very difficult to do that when you have, tens, hundreds, thousands of items and you're comparing against a lot of competitors, some of whom you've never met, some of whom you don't know exist. And it's kind of hard to do that unless you use a tool like the ones we're using now called, the one we use is Priceva. You don't have to use that one, but that's the one that we like to use.
Yeah, and when you have so many different items throughout your store, and you're focused on your store, you're not necessarily focused on what are the prices of the shops down the street, or what is the price on Amazon. This can help you find that out and make sure that you're a competitive price and that you are able to have that knowledge.
That's exactly right. And also think about it from the perspective of the customer, right? Like I'm gonna go on Google search. I can literally search price low to high for an ASKU, right? I can just sort,
Yeah.
right? I can go on to ChatGPT and say, hey, can you find me this item? Thank you so much. Can you make sure it's the cheapest price and check everywhere else for me really quickly?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and those things are very simple from the perspective of the consumer because they're only looking at one item, one variant, one SKU. But when you have to manage that at scale and the prices are changing at any given moment, it becomes something that is manually impossible and difficult if you have a small staff.
Right. And again, yeah, those capabilities that you had a team, if large companies have teams that would do those things, be able to research that. Yeah, this is technology that is coming to the independent retailer, the sole owner and worker within the store has access to these things now.
Absolutely. Would it be helpful if I showed you guys a quick screenshot of what we're looking at? Like that way you guys can kind of see it more tangibly.
Please do. Yeah.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me just pull it up, okay? Forgive me in advance, by the way. I am Microsoft Teams illiterate. We're a Google company. So if I click on the wrong
You're
buttons
doing
or you see
great.
something
Share
funny.
the screen just fine. You got it.
Cool. All right. Can you guys see this hopefully?
We can, yes.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So let me go ahead and click this, right? So this is one that we're setting up right now. So it's not quite done yet, but it'll give you guys an understanding of what we're kind of talking about. So here are some of the products sold by one of our clients. It's literally this Zenaida Top XS, extra small, excuse me. Forgive me if I've said the name of the brand wrong. I apologize in advance. But you can see here, like as of this morning at basically 12:06, our price for this SKU, you can see the SKU and all that kind of stuff here, is $365. The competitor that we're monitoring has dropped it to $255 as of this morning, right? This is real-time pricing data. Another one, Emma Merino cardigan, another extra small. Again, we're coming down to the SKU or the variant level. We're not just saying the entire item, right? That specific variant has been dropped down to a price of $227. Another one, as of this morning, was dropped from $295 to $88, right?
Okay.
And you can even see that we are, in general, amongst our competitors, the highest price, and our competitors currently still have us in stock. You can see that on the right-hand side of the screen. So we are monitoring actually like what is available, what's the pricing, and being able to influence our decisions about what we price, where we spend our Google ads, how we should go to market, what is our digital strategy. This is one of those places where you get a lot of information about that pretty quick, real time, and it's not very expensive to do this. We're talking hundreds of dollars a month.
with that one that dropped, to $88. So that kind of seems a little bit like an outlier. Is that, would you be able to understand what's going on with that and why such a significant drop would happen?
Yeah, you actually can. You can see here like how the price have changed. This is our price. You can see here like the lowest is 88. So you would actually be able to go to the vendor's site in this case, and just, you can see it,
And see
right?
what, okay.
Exactly. And actually, one thing, this is just I like to show it because it's just one example, but and we have not set this up with this client yet, but you can actually set up repricing rules on an automated basis. So if you see here, like I can say, hey, I want to anytime somebody undercuts me, I want to meet them. I want to beat them by 1 penny. If they're at $99, I want to be 89.99, right? And I want to make sure that my margin doesn't fall below 30%, right? So if as long as you have your cost price correct, you can then set rules like, hey, as long as my markup is 30%, I don't care if I keep dropping down price to be the lowest. I don't care. Or I can say, hey, I only want to match prices to these competitors. I only want to match prices for these types of items, these categories. You have a significant amount of flexibility around what you want to price match. If you don't want to price match, if you just want to just monitor the prices so that you're just aware of what's going on, you have full control of what will be matched, what doesn't be matched, and how you go to market using that. And again, it's just also from the business intelligence perspective to be able to know that these are what your competitors are doing with the exact same SKUs. And when your vendors have changed their prices as well, very powerful information, in my opinion. So I'll stop sharing that, but
Yeah,
just an
no, very
example that I
powerful.
want to show you guys.
And so that we were talking before, that connects directly into a Shopify, correct? So if you're wanting to make changes there, you can make it directly from there onto your website.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah,
our clients work with us. One of the biggest things that we do for our clients is manage all the integrations. So it's not really great if you have this tool that can do all this good stuff, but then to use it, you have to then do a bunch of this again to use it,
sure,
right?
right.
That kind of kills the purpose, right? So all the tools I recommended do sync with Shopify. They do sync with other POS as well. There's Lightspeed, NCR Counterpoint products.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them out there. And if not, one of the things that we do is help build out how to make all those things connect. But in this case, particularly for Shopify, yes, it does connect. So when you create an item on Shopify, you don't have to recreate that item in the AI pricing tool. It would just be there for you to then import on an automated basis. And if you have the rules, again, if you set up the categories, tags, all that stuff correctly, the vendors, it would then fall into all the rules that you've already created.
Okay. So yeah, again, for our retailers that have a heavy online presence, again, you can connect that in, can make changes, you can set rules on that. Even for those that don't have a huge, even just having the knowledge of what is out there and what prices are within your area, that is such a huge benefit of knowing where you should be pricing your products based on everybody else. So love that tool. That's incredible. And again, things that are newer for retail that we didn't have access to 5 years ago or so.
Yeah, think about like what Walmart and Amazon do. I mean, these are like the biggest retailers in the world,
Yeah.
right? This is more or less what they used to have a whole team doing all day
Yeah.
long, right? And so what I mean by, hey, one of the key things we're noticing is that some of these really powerful capabilities are about to get a lot cheaper for independent retail. And I would encourage people to jump on it, really.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because easier or quicker you learn now makes it easier to go to the next level after that and the next level after that and really build that into the business as opposed to trying to start 5 generations down the road and you're all of a sudden learning a much more complicated system.
Yeah, absolutely. That's I couldn't have said it better myself.
So let's talk about that 3 to 10, because everything is changing so rapidly. We've had so much already change. How do you predict and what do you see as some major changes that are happening in the near future and then kind of a little bit further down the road, like a 10-year scale?
Yeah, happy to do so. Let me.
Yeah, please.
I have an addiction to slides, so forgive me in advance if I go back and forth so much. But there's just a way in my head, everything is bullet points, so that's how I'm going to present. If that's okay. But here's how I would try and distill down what is a relatively complex topic to 4 distinct takeaways. The first would be, and I've already mentioned this, that AI will help customers shop and AI will recommend products to them. These bots, whether you use Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever, right? they are collecting information about the users. This person likes to vacation in Miami. This person has a daughter who's 6. This person, has a father who loves to play golf. I have no idea, right? All this kind of stuff, right? And based on the information that they have, they will, and when customers ask, help me find a product that does this, help me find a product that does that, they will take that personalized information and recommend products based on not only what you have available on your website, but what will be best for this person, given the history of chat between the bot and this person, right? So just being aware that customers will change how they shop and that you need to kind of meet them at that juncture is one of the key things that's going to change. Again, maybe not by tomorrow, but over the next 3 to 10 years, that is something that we expect our clients to have to work around, and we're already preparing for that future today. The second thing is that, and again, we've touched on some of this already, is that the item data, again, all the stuff that people hate filling in, all the tags, all the custom metadata, all the categories, all the colors, all the cost prices, the quantities, all that kind of stuff that kind of is tedious to manage, it's going to become very important in the near future, because without that information filled in, you can't be recommended by these agentic LLMs. It's just not going to happen, because they're going to look around, they're going to say, I need to recommend the product that meets these criteria. And if you can't say yes to all those criteria, then you're not going to be recommended. It's not about how much money you spend to be at the top of this list anymore, right?
Yeah, it's the data that you have in there to begin with.
Exactly. You have to be, and because these searches, it's not like you're able to just, pick up the phone and say, yes, we have it, right?
Yeah.
This is a very different ball game, right? And on top of that, as I mentioned to you, Shopify and other POSs are already developing these tools. Actually, within Shopify, there's already a setting where you can turn on the ability to have an LLM find you. Then from thereafter, Shopify then will check to make sure your item data is up to date. And assuming that is correct, you will then have that ability to be found in Gemini and that sort of stuff. It is a setting you have to actually turn on. So just an FYI, just doing the work doesn't get you there. You have to actually click turn on, right? But other POSs I'm not as sure about because I haven't checked them yet, but Shopify in particular, you do have to actually turn on that setting. The third thing I would say is that some customers will prefer to buy in what we were going to call a zero-click world. Again, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but the Gen Zers when they're 38 or whatever, right? Like, they will prefer to buy what's called a zero-click world. By zero-click, what I mean is they're searching for an item, whether it be in Gemini or whatever. Gemini brings up the item, and they will purchase it right there. They won't even type to put in their credit card. All that's what they say is say, thanks, can you please buy this for me, deliver it to my house? That's it.
So it won't be going to the website, buying it from there. It'll be buying it right on the search screen.
Buying with a keyboard, please buy, thank you.
Okay. That changes companies' online presences. That's huge.
It changed a lot of stuff, right? Like how do you be found? How do you want to improve your sales? Where should you invest your resources, right? And just knowing that, again, the powerful thing about these agents that they have information that's so personalized about the customer, right? They know this person has a daughter whose birthday is coming up, stuff like that, right?
Every time you're Google searching something,
every time
it's holding on that data. Yeah.
But now it's even more personal because that bot only talks to you.
Okay.
Right. So every time you use ChatGPT, whatever, right?
Yeah.
If you notice when you talk to ChatGPT, it references that thing you talked about 2 days ago.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So it's going to become your conversations, everything, and be able to
pull up kind of like if you have a friend or an employee who you talk to and you ask them for stuff, they have the context of what you're asking about, so they can give you the right answer.
Right. Okay.
Right. The last thing is that I don't want people to take away that the website's useless now. That's just not true at all, right? The website will actually become even more important because it becomes a central source of truth for what you are doing online. So where these agents, LLMs are going to go and find your items is your website. They're not going to go and call you and say, do you have this, right? They're still going to look on your website, and all the information that you have there will be what's the foundation for all this kind of stuff. So your website, all those descriptions, care instructions, all that stuff that you want to, that Shopify kind of gives you those fields to fill them in basically, right? Yeah. It's going to become really important. And on top of that, these bots don't take away the customer service aspect. Somebody saw is going to come in and ask, like, hey, what's the status of my order? You might have an AI bot to respond to them, but at the end of the day, somebody still has to be responsible for that order. Somebody still has to provide customer service, right? So that is never going away. And so that interaction will still take place on your website. Lastly, the policies that you have, think about like your shipping policy, your return policy, your privacy policy, all that stuff, right? That will also need to be machine readable for these bots, because if you don't have that updated, then you will potentially be not like a reputable retailer, if you will, right? So that kind of stuff becomes important as well. So your website doesn't lose importance. It's actually equally as important, if not more, because it's the starting point for where these bots are going to find out more about you.
Yeah. So it's the kind of the source material for those searches and be able to find you. And again, more and more people are searching, not just on Google, but asking a chat bot for that. And that is going to be how that they're pulling that information as we go forward.
That's exactly right. Let me go ahead and scroll down just a little bit here. I don't want this to be super theoretical. I do want, these we call them 3 to 10 year trends, whatever, right? I don't want to put like bars or like it's going to be exactly 3 years, and it's not going to be 2 years and 6 months. But I do want you guys to know that, and especially for the audience to realize that there is evidence, not just empirically, like we're not seeing this just from our clients, but from the top down, we're seeing, some of the biggest companies, some of the biggest tools already reflecting the changes that we're talking about. So I'll just pull one up here. Shopify connects any merchant to every AI conversation. This is exactly what I was trying to tell you. If you look at agentic storefronts, you have to actually turn on within your Shopify store the ability to be found within these models. They're already giving you the feature to do so. Shopify is, right? ChatGPT, March 21st, just a few days ago, you basically now can run ads in ChatGPT.
Okay.
Right? So, it's just people don't even talk about that, right? But as we talk about shoppers not only going on Google, but switching over to these language models to find out more about what they want to buy and ask questions, life advice, whatever, right? Like,
so would those ads be pulling up as like an ad on the side, or would that be pulled up inside of the response?
So the way that it's been portrayed to the wider community is that it would be portrayed underneath a normal response. It would be like you would be marked as like sponsored, like kind of
okay.
Right. So you would know the consumer is not being tricked. It's clearly marked as sponsored, right? But it's still the ability to sponsor is there. Is my point, right? Which we think is powerful, and things that in order to do this, getting the settings, the data, all that kind of stuff is still really important, right? This is actually really powerful as well. Google a few weeks ago released what's called the Universal Commerce Protocol. I don't want to get into the definitions too specifically, but think about it like this. The Universal Commerce Protocol is a fancy dictionary, basically, right? So how many different ways can you say the word red? You can call it crimson, or you can call it light red, whatever, right? Blue, it can be midnight, it can be navy, it can be baby blue, whatever, right? So this Universal Commerce Protocol is a way to take all of these different descriptions for all the stuff we have in the world and combine them into like simpler terms. So that when people search for them, if you don't use that exact same term, you can still be recommended. So you're actually optimizing for these universal commerce protocols, kind of like an SEO, you're optimizing for keywords, kind of like that, right? You're optimizing for this dictionary of terms based on how you want your items to be found. So how you write your descriptions for your items, how you update, again, all the categories, metadata, all that stuff becomes even more important. And there's this standard now that Google has released to meet. And there, obviously, Google Ads, all that stuff is linked with this as well. So it's very, you don't have, this is not trying to tell you that you need to just drop your SEO, drop how you optimize for keywords. It's actually the opposite. This is saying that those that optimize for their keywords will now kind of be linked into this as well. this dictionary of terms for LLMs, and you'll have, frankly, another sales channel that's doubling down on the effort that you've already done with your keywords. Right?
Okay. So just kind of, yeah, if you had something or someone was searching for something called dark blue and you didn't have it, you didn't list that as dark blue because it's midnight blue or whatever, it used to not show up. Now it will show up. It'll kind of recognize all of those things as being similar, and it will pull that up. And then really using those keywords, the more keywords that you're having in there, kind of the more intelligent it is to grab all of that information together and be able to present the writer the better information. Is that correct?
Long and short of it, yes.
Okay. All right. So there's now this language, this UCP, the language dictionary that kind of incorporates all of those things together.
Yeah, basically, so that if you call something a blouse and somebody calls something else like a long shirt or whatever, right? A top, so that it's not because you didn't call it a top, you don't get excluded,
right? Okay.
But you still have to kind of just letting people know that the trends we're talking about, they're not just trends. That the technology to start these kind of things is already being built out. The standardizations, the protocols, all that kind of stuff is being released. This was actually announced by Google at the NRF event a few weeks back, and they made a big splash with this. Another thing is, just in January, now in Gemini, there's a direct checkout. You don't even have to go click an ad. You don't have to go to somebody's website. Within Google Gemini, you can just go shopping, basically.
Wow.
Right? That happened in January. And literally yesterday, Gap became the first retailer to launch AI or an AI checkout within Google Gemini. So they met the Universal Commerce Protocol dictionary terms, right? They've updated how they do their items. It wasn't as much work as you would think because it's actually very similar to SEO keyword search. And now they've kind of updated all their stuff so that they can be found in Google Gemini. And when you search for whatever, I need like a cocktail party outfit, whatever, and maybe Gap will be searched for that now. And they can sell directly on Gemini. They're the first retailer to kind of meet that standard. And it happened yesterday.
Yes, sir. Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, these are articles. I like to pull these articles for you guys, right? So, yeah.
Very interesting. Okay.
Does that hopefully that answers your questions around like what I kind of see from the bottom up, working with dozens of retail clients, where I kind of see things going in a 3 to 10 year outlook, and as well as I kind of want to give you guys some proof, not just saying, hey, we're making this stuff up. I mean, the companies out there that run kind of like the retail tech world are building the tools to do this kind of stuff already, right? So as we see from the bottom up, the day-to-day requiring this stuff, and then from the top down, the tools being built to do it, it's kind of a screaming signal.
Yeah, right. And it is, the big companies are investing more into it. There's the standardization of things. It's kind of how this is headed. And one of the great capabilities of AI is creating more smart technology or intelligent technology. So it will kind of have an exponential effect of really growing and growing year over year. So that 3 years, 10 years is a long time in this world.
It is. But I do think that, I don't think it'll be night and day. Nobody shops on LLMs. Everybody shops on LLMs.
Right.
But I do think that you're going to see that transition happen over the next few months, few years, and retailers that are anticipating that. Again, I'll show you guys some more tools to help meet this need relatively cost effectively. We're talking hundreds of dollars. We're not talking thousands or $10,000. We're talking about hundreds of dollars, right?
Yeah.
To meet this kind of need. What are the kind of things that can be done in advance? You mind if I just do one more quick demo for a tool?
For it. Yeah, demo.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and show you guys one more quick demo. This is actually an internal tool. So unfortunately, this one, you guys can't buy it. This is only available to our clients. So sorry, not sorry, to be honest. But can you guys see this? So this is our tool that we've developed, which takes any invoice or purchase order, and we can have your item created that's website ready, all the metadata, all the GEO, all that kind of stuff that we talked about. And you can basically, this is Shopify specific. We haven't made it yet to work with other POSs. We're just not quite at that stage yet. But this will allow you to kind of hit file upload, item created on your website, good to go, right? So let me give you guys a quick demo. Let me download this invoice. It's just a real invoice. Okay, can you guys see this invoice? Patrick, can you see this invoice?
Yes. Yep. Pulling across.
Okay, so here's an invoice. Oops, I lost it. Here's an invoice from Gretchen Scott. This is the vendor. Basically purchased whatever this item is, TBPB, FAB. The color is Kelly, and these are the sizes that were purchased. This is the price, the description, boyfriend shirt, right? So we can actually turn this into a website ready item. And I know that's like a tall task. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's going to happen. I'm going to do it in front of you guys right now. Okay.
And
so
this looks like it's a
this is a picture of an
scanned image of what they received in their boxes. If your vendor sends you the PDF of the email or PDF of the invoice, you could do it with that. But this is even just a scanned image of something that looks like it's got a paperclip on it that came in the box. So
that's exactly right. So let me. I'm going to drag and drop. So that exact same invoice, you guys can see I'm going to drag and drop this over here. I'm just gonna drop that in there. Okay, cool. So now that's the same invoice I just dropped in there. Let me go ahead and open that vendor's website. Give me a second. I think it was Gretchen Scott, or I'm just Google searching this company, Gretchen Scott. Okay, so I've got that company's website here. I'll put it here, and you can just so you guys can see it. This is that company's site. This is the manufacturer actually. Our client, let's just put their store in here. Okay, right. And then let me go ahead and find that. This is the product URL. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put the invoice in here. We've given the information from the vendor website, and occasionally some clients like to say like, hey, I want to add notes about, specific sizes, or we want to have sale information, whatever it could be. If you want to have instructions around the descriptions, additional notes include, you do have kind of how you talk to ChatGPT, you can give it instructions basically, right? In this case, we don't really have to do that yet. Let's just kind of get a basic one. So just download, and you might have to give it 20, 30 seconds. We're building this out so you can add as many products as you would like. But what it's really doing is it's matching the information on the invoice to the vendor's website, putting it into our tone of voice in one go, basically, right? So it's just converting, give it a second. And once it's done, yep, there it is. It downloaded, right? So I'll just go ahead, put it on my desktop, whatever, right?
It's pulling all of the information that you would need to put it into Shopify, right?
That is exactly right. So this is what the export is. So we get 2 Excel files, right? So the first one here, this is actually the template to upload this item into Shopify. So it's a lot of columns, right? But all this data to create the item is filled in. So you can literally hit file upload into Shopify, and this would actually work. Now imagine this is just for one item as an example. Imagine you had like 20, 30, 50 items, right? It might become a little bit difficult to check each one of these columns. There's just a lot of information to check. So in case you need to do that, we also export this. And this is basically the product. We call it the product upload sheet. It contains information about that product that we've scraped from the internet, from the vendor website. It could be from a competitor website, whatever, right? You have the style number. If you remember this TPFB, FAB I showed you guys earlier, the brand is updated, the color is updated, right? Obviously, the price isn't updated yet because it's our price. We haven't sold it yet. But all the stuff we talked about, here's the cost, all that stuff. And also which images you want to use to create that item. So we can just go ahead and copy this. Again, it's called like this boyfriend shirt arabesque, right? So I'll just pull up the internet here. That's a picture of the item from the
image
website,
that we upload,
right?
Okay.
So you have all the links to that item here. So you have everything in case you wanted to see like what are the specifics of the item you're creating and make sure everything is correct. Here it is for you. Some parts of Shopify still do have to be manual. It's like some categories, meta fields, and tags. Shopify does require them to be made manually. So instead of copying and pasting from a bunch of different places, you can just kind of copy and paste from one place. But the main point is that like in one area, you've now got the Shopify upload template for the item. All we started with was the invoice, and we also have the ability to audit the information that we're uploading and that our customers will see. And this is the kind of this level of detail is what the LLMs are hoping for you to have to recommend you, and kind of not the top of Google search. There's no top here, right? But the figurative top of the LLM search, if you will.
Yeah, the recommendation that they give. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So I'll stop sharing, but hopefully that's helpful for you guys. That's actually a tool that we generated internally that uses AI, again, to basically take your invoice, match that item to a vendor's website, pull that information, and put it into the template you would need to upload the Shopify quickly.
So, as we're kind of rapid towards a Q&A section here, I think, big takeaway we've seen is more and more people are searching through LLMs. That is going to be, again, not tomorrow, but more and more people are going to be doing that, and really having that chat conversation in order to, they will recommend products, they will recommend stores. In order to get that, you need to have the data through your site to be able to link in there for it to understand. So all of these technologies that are developing off of that, and this really change in consumer behavior, which, it's fascinating.
I think it's really cool. We live it and breathe it every day. Our clients that we work with are preparing for it. And also, we think it's exciting. I think that it's a really cool equalizer, if you will, between small and large retailers. It used to be that, hey, it's so annoying to get that information to my POS, that cost per SKU. I mean, I kind of know it. I can sort of do this and figure it out, right? All that stuff that big retailers did because they had a huge staff, you can do it now. It's not that hard anymore. And you can do it with a lot less investment than you would think. I mean, some of these tools that we're showing you, particularly Priceva, some of the other ones I recommended on that other slide, we're talking $10 to a couple $100 a month, right? We're talking 3 digits, not 4 digits, right? So just to be clear.
Well, wonderful. Let's have some time for Q&A. Do you want to open up the field? If you have questions, please toss them into the chat or the Q&A field. Would love to answer any questions or any thoughts that you've had, that audience have had, as we've been talking for the last little bit. Daniel, while things are potentially writing, a little bit about 360 Retail Management and where they can reach out to you, how they can contact you.
Yeah. As I mentioned, I have an affinity for slides, so let me share that one as well, if that's okay. Give me a second. So let's come down to the bottom. So a little bit about us. Actually, let me go to the top slide over here. A little bit about us. We're basically a full-service retail consulting, IT development, and back office automation company. We exclusively serve the independent retail space. What we're really good at is automating all the inventory data from all your different sources. So we have a lot of retailers who have vendors that they're only purchasing from one time. They might meet them at a trade show. They're getting handed a paper invoice. It might be writing on a piece of paper that they do with a pen, right? Or it might be an invoice they receive in the mail. Being able to take all that information and get all that into their POS so that they can do all the stuff that we've already talked about. That's one of our core offerings. We found that clients really benefit from that. A little bit about us as well. We have about 100 people on our team today. We have 4 offices. If you look at our history of how many clients and all the items, it's actually a little over 32 million items that we've touched at this point in one or another. And on average, year over year, from first year to working with us, our clients do see, again, this is an average stat, some are way more, some are less. Don't hold us to this, but an average statistic for us is that most clients see about a year over year cash flow increase of about 18%. So we think those are powerful stats. Another fun fact about us, Patrick and I work together every month. We do help you guys with the newsletter, which we love to do. I think it's a great way to give back. So a lot of that content our team is putting together based on what we're seeing, again, every single day, working with our clients, what are things we're solving, being able to provide that as educational content for the newsletter.
Absolutely. And yeah, a lot of data out there that really help fortify and understand where retail is going.
Exactly. In terms of reaching out to us, contact information is right here. We do also have a contact us form on our website. So if you go to 360retailmanagement.com, which I will do right now. Ooh, it's not letting me. You go down here. We do also have a contact us form. So if you'd like to reach us here as well, we always respond within 24 hours.
Fantastic.
Any questions or
nothing is coming through. So I don't know. I guess you're just that good,
I guess I've been thorough in my answers.
Well, Daniel, thank you very much for being on today. I always love learning about kind of what is the next step, what is the future, and how can we as small businesses able to adapt to that and make sure that we're able to have as much success as possible. So thank you very much for being on today. Our next webinar is going to be at the end of April with Bob and Megan. We're going to be talking about customer experience strategy. So very, very excited about that. Daniel, I really appreciate your time today, and I know our audience learned a lot. Thank you.
Absolutely. I had a great time as well, and feel free to reach out anytime, guys. Thank you all.
Take care, everybody.